Hello, hello. Today we're going to be talking about Libsyn. Libsyn is a hosting platform, which basically means that it is the place where your podcast lives. So your podcast hangs out there. It creates what's called an RSS feed, which is basically just a fancy word for a link that allows other places to pull data for your podcast. So Libsyn is where you will upload your episodes each week, as well as the description, and also where you're going to upload things like cover art, your show description, all of that good stuff so that people are able to see it everywhere. So this is something that you have to have in place before you can submit your podcast to places like Apple Podcast and Google Podcast, because it is going to create the RSS feed that you need to do those things. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you all and get Libsyn pulled up here. All right, so this is Libsyn. So you have different pricing and plan options. Typically, we recommend our clients go with the $15 one. It just gives you enough storage. If you're doing like 4 to 5 hour-long episodes a month, this is the amount of storage that you're going to need monthly. All of the other things are like pretty much the same. You get statistics with this one, which is really important. So doing the $15 option is typically the way to go. If you're on a budget, you can always start with the $5 option and then upgrade as you go. So the first thing you're going to do is sign up. Just like anything, you're just going to create an account, and it's auto plugging a client's information. That's not what we want. We want to plug in my information. I'm actually going to change this to our work email. hello@allthingspodcasting.com. Create a password. Create your account. We're going to accept all of the terms. All right, save that, add it to my LastPass. Okay, so the show slug is going to be all things podcasting. Time zone, we are in Eastern here in Kentucky. Scroll down until we find that, maybe. That is us, I do believe. All right, next. So here is where you are going to choose your plan. It kind of gives you a recap of all of those things that we looked at on the other page. But if you want to look at a more detailed option, you can always go back to that pricing and plans page. So I'm going to select this. Next. Then it is requiring me to put in all of my billing info. When you get there, ask for things like your company name, your address, just plug all of that stuff in. You can also just connect it to PayPal, which makes things really easy. So I think that's what I'm actually going to do. So it just is prompting me to log into my PayPal account. All right, and then you hit next at the bottom. So now it's giving me a confirmation. You're all set up and ready to podcast. So this is how you're going to log in to your dashboard. And this is taking me to Libsyn 5. They just updated Libsyn, and right now they're giving you the option through 2 different links to use original Libsyn or to use Libsyn 5. Libsyn 5 is going to have like some cool new statistic things and different things that you can use within Libsyn to get better analytics on your podcast and all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to autofill my login info. All right, and this is the dashboard. So it's going to prompt you to import your existing podcast. So if you already have an RSS feed, you can import from BuzzFeed, Anchor, what have you. You can take a tour of Libsyn 5, or you can set up your podcast. So it's going to walk you through all of the good things that you need to know. All right, so we don't have a subtitle for the podcast. We do have our description, which we are going to go and grab from Google Drive. We are going to select categories. So it gives you all kinds of different options, and it starts with like a header category, like an overarching one, and then it kind of breaks it down to like business, business news, business careers, investing. So like ours would probably be business. Business marketing. Science and family ones, health and fitness, self-improvement, business management, entrepreneurship. So like a lot of our clients fall into the like business entrepreneurship, business marketing, and like the self-help, self-development. So those are the ones that we use most of the time, but you're just going to go through and find the ones that align with your business. So over here, it's giving me basically a breakdown list of all of the things that it's going to be asking me for. So I'm going to know that I need artwork, show title, show description, categories, public contact info, all of that good stuff. I'm going to keep plugging away in here. Owner name. So here's the thing. So the public contact email is going to be accessible to everybody. So I made that our business email, but the owner email, I made my like personal / business email, because this email for some reason takes longer to come through. And when you're submitting your podcast, you have to be kind of quick to like verify things through your email account. So since like I forward this email to this email anyways, I'm just using my personal email. But the public contact email is going to be the email that you want people to have access to if they're contacting you about your podcast. Website URL, all things podcasting.com. Show type is episodic. Episodic means that it's going to be in chronological order. So like the episode that you release first is going to be at the bottom, and the episode that you released most recently is going to be at the top. And serial is just the opposite of that. So if the podcast is something that is like a story that needs to be listened to like in a certain order from top to bottom, then you're going to use serial. So like if you were doing a series of, I don't know, reading The Velveteen Rabbit, you would start with, the first section, then the second, and you would more than likely do that in a serial setups. So it would start at the beginning when someone hits play, start at the beginning, read the first section or chapter, and then move on down the line. And then it would start a new book once The Velveteen Rabbit was over. So that's really the only circumstance type that you would use serial for. Majority of the time, you're going to do episodic because your listeners are going to want to listen to the episode that's come out most recently. Content rating. If you are going to use any potty words at all in your podcast, you need to select explicit. This is one of the very few things that you can get in trouble for with podcasting, because it's like rating something G when it should be rated PG-13. They just want everybody to know what they're getting into. So like I most of the time go ahead and mark it as explicit, because you never know when you have a guest on that's going to let a potty word fly. And some of that stuff you don't want to edit out. It just like adds to the character of the podcast. And if your podcast isn't targeted at children, then the rating's not going to matter. Nobody like really looks at the rating unless they're looking at something for their kids. You're going to choose your language here. Okay, then we're just going to get our artwork. I just downloaded mine from Canva. So we're going to open that here. It's going to upload. All right, success file uploaded. Next step, click to save your settings. Show settings configured. Publish your first episode. Take me there. So this is, so like we started in dashboard, now we're in episodes. So the first episode is going to be our trailer. I'm just going to title it Welcome to All Things Podcasting. And we're going to do description. Welcome to the very first episode of All Things Podcasting, where we break down how to launch, grow, and manage your podcast. Throw my comments in there. All right, and then you're going to include any links that you want. This would be like links to the show notes for the episode, link to your website, link to the call to action, link to your Facebook group, all of the things. Something to keep in mind on this description is that there can be like funky formatting things. So in terms of like the bolds, the italics, underlines, things like bullet points and centering and numbering things, I've found that it is best to leave that stuff out. As pretty as it looks, right now, not all of the podcasting platforms are able to accept that formatting and then transfer that into the way that things need to be on their particular platforms. So like, for example, Apple Podcast right now, if you put anything that is hyperlinked, like where you have, like say, if I wanted to link this right here, I'd go here, do this, and type in allthingspodcasting.com. Okay. Yes. Okay, so then it hyperlinks it, which it's basically just making a link out of a thing of text. But here's the problem. Apple Podcast right now is not accepting hyperlinks. So it's just going to show up as regular text in Apple Podcasts. They did that with a new update. They're supposed to be switching it back because so many people have complained about it because they don't want 15 different full links showing up on their description for their episodes. I also usually go ahead and link these just to be sure. But doing things like the bullet points, especially, they end up getting discombobulated, out of order, shifted in one direction or the other, and just generally not looking great. So as of right now, my advice would be to just very simply type out your description. This can be like a paragraph to 2 paragraphs long. This is just a trailer, so I'm not gonna do like an in-depth description, but for future episodes, it's gonna be, you know, what the episode's about, some key points, possibly a quote, the link to the call to action, the link to your website, things like that. So I just try to keep these as basic as possible because, first of all, people came there to listen to the episode. They don't want to read a dissertation on what the episode's about. They just want to listen to it. So this is just real simple to give them an idea of if they want to listen to the episode or not, and to mention any links that are mentioned in the episode. This is where you can add a category. You can do tags. Okay, shows blog page. I'm going to grab our website link again. Don't change the Apple Podcast title. You don't need to change the author or anything like that at the episode level. So even though that this is a trailer, I am not going to list it as a trailer or a bonus for formatting reasons. It makes them like show up in funky orders. We're doing it as a full episode. Season number, do not put this in here. Episode number, do not put it in there. It's automatically going to show up in the correct order. You do not need to put an episode number in here. You can schedule it or you can publish it now. Since it's our trailer, we're going to publish it now. All right. And then we're going to add in our media file.